Welcome to Diego C Palace. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe at Diego C Palace, and if you can, give it a like, and if you can, give it a little cheeky share, just to upset somebody out there, who knows. But thank you very much. Today's upload is about the up and coming fixture for Crystal Palace. It's away at St James's Park on Saturday. Of course, it's against Newcastle United. Before I kick on my prediction and how I think it's going to pan out, just got to mention something that's clearly been very traumatic to not only expect for the footballers involved, but also to the football fans and to the football club involved in the circumstances that's happened in the last week or so. It's been well publicised now officially by mainstream media and by for the likes of the goat of all transfer and information for football from Italy, Fabrizio Romano. He was one of the first to break it. Unfortunately, 3 players in Italy have been there are helping with the football association over there and with authorities in that some of them have been found to be betting on football. Now, gambling football for professional football players is nothing new. It occurs to many football clubs, and it happens in football federations all over the place. So it's got to be a difficult time for those players. One of the players, which I'm going to focus on, is a player that plays for Newcastle. It's Tonelli. I think 3 points straight off. First point is the welfare of the player has to be of paramount of importance, regardless of what is undertaken, whether it's what's going on in Italy and what's now going to probably happen here in the UK, in the FA, and how they're going to address it. So the welfare of the player has to be of paramount of importance. Second point, I would say the how Newcastle as a football club approach this and deal with it in the short term and in the long term. They're going to have to address it. It may be out of the hands of Eddie Howe, I expect, but it's got to be a difficult one. Newcastle recently paid, I think, something like 80 million euros for a player, Tonelli, of his ability. I believe that he was brought in to for the UCL for them. Of course, it's featured in most of the of the Premier League games, but it's primarily for the Champions League competitions that they're in. So Newcastle are going to have to look at that. It's got to be a difficult time for the club. And the third point, which I want to mention, is I don't think. Well, no, I do think actually. To be direct, we need to wait until all the information's in and the matter in hand is addressed both in Italy and of course here in England in the Premier League, and see how they will deal with the situation regarding the welfare of the player Tonelli and the status from the perspective from the football club and in general in football. So those 3 points, I just wanted to get that out of the way. I think we need to wait until all the information is fully out and it comes to a conclusion. But having said that, Tonelli, to the best of my knowledge, he's still, as I'm doing this upload, is available to feature for Saturday's game at home for their home fixture against Crystal Palace. I think they've got a fixture next week. I think it's Wednesday. And it's Champions League, so it's got to be Wednesday or Tuesday. They're playing Borussia Dortmund, I think it is, in the Champions League. So they've got to make a decision on whether he features this Saturday or they'll leave it for a few days to see what happens. Maybe he could be available for the Wednesday game against Borussia Dortmund. Now, how does that affect Roy Hodgson's selection? I've never felt at all ever in the past, and I don't now, that Roy is a manager, a coach that looks at his squad and is affected by what happens elsewhere, where he has like zero control of events. I don't think he's one of those type of coach or managers. I think what Roy will do is he will look at the players that has come in from the international break. He will assess fitness levels and if there are current knocks or injuries, and hopefully maybe one or two may return from injury, may be available for selection. So I don't think it will affect his lineup for Saturday's game. Um, Having said that, whether Tonelli plays or not, it will be a plus or a negative for us because he does, in my opinion, he does balance the Newcastle side. You only need to look at how well Newcastle played against PSG in their last fixture, and I think the fixture before that it was against West Ham, and I think that was a draw as well. So for me, um, if he doesn't feature, they've got a player called Anderson. I think he'll probably start in his place. Um, um, the fixtures last season between Crystal Palace and Newcastle, home and away, were all draws, except the cup competition, which I think we lost. Yeah, no, we lost in penalty on a penalty shootout. But so this match on Saturday for me, I'm thinking that the club, the Newcastle home fans, they're going into it with good momentum because of their recent results. So is Crystal Palace. Now, I expect that Newcastle away fans, the ones that go to their away games, they'll know how difficult and how hard it is to go to a place like Old Trafford and with difficult circumstances. Um, we had injuries and we defended well throughout the first and the second half, and we brought those 3 points back to Selhurst Park. So Newcastle away fans, I'm sure that they will understand how difficult it is to do that at Old Trafford. So they're not going to be up against a Crystal Palace side that is not in good form. We are collectively well stewarded in a defensive capacity, so they're going to have to break us down. But not only that, we will score, not just from Jean-Philippe Mateta say he starts. We will score from other positions. So it's going to be a good time. I think it's going to be a good match. My prediction, whether Tonelli plays or not, is Newcastle 0, Crystal Palace 1. I just got a hunch that because of the recent events at Newcastle, it may just give us that little bit of an edge. I just think it will affect somehow as the game develops, because it does unbalance their side, them not having Tonelli in the side. So yeah, I'm going for Newcastle 0, Crystal Palace 1. And as I said at the beginning, the welfare of the professional football players when they find themselves in those situations, in gambling situations, that has to be of paramount. And hopefully it'll all get resolved soon. And but for Newcastle, that's got to be a difficult one. And for the Newcastle fans, oh, they must be like, he was brought in for a reason, for what they wanted to achieve this season. So that's going to be a difficult one. Right, this is Diego C. Palace. Come on, Palace. Let's bring the 3 points home. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe at Diego C. Palace. Thank you very much for watching. And yeah, come on. 1-0 to the Palace. Up the Palace. Come on, Palace. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you up on the next one. Thank you. Bye-bye.